Hello, dear listeners. This is your favorite storyteller and hopeless romantic, Gwen Fairfax. You are welcome to my creative heaven where I bring you the best of my imagination, take your mind away from the troubles of the world, and tame your heart with fiction, romance, and drama. This is your first time stopping on this safe space, you are most welcome. I promise that you will love it here. But if you are an oldie but goodie, thank you for your continuous support and love. You are loved and appreciated. Please like, subscribe, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Buckle your seatbelts as we take a ride on another amazing episode of your favorite story, Unappreciated Treasure. Enjoy. Chelsy had been talking with her best friend Rachel when there was a sudden knock on the door. Chelsy ended the call and walked to the door to see who it was at that time of the night. When she opened the door, she was in disbelief. Standing before her was an unexpected sight. The phone she was holding slipped from her fingers, clattering to the floor as her breath caught in her throat. Her eyes widened in disbelief, and her expression transformed to one of sheer astonishment, as though she had just encountered a ghost from the past, frozen in that surreal moment. With a voice that was barely audible, she muttered, "Lenny!" It was her elder brother Lionel Powers at the door. Behind him was his wife Melinda and their daughter Fiona. Surprise, surprise! They all shouted with smiles plastered on their faces. Chelsy was still in disbelief. Was she dreaming? Or was she in some kind of trance state? To be sure she was not dreaming, she sent her hand to touch Lionel just to be sure he was real. When her fingers finally touched Lionel's arm, she rushed like a bullet and crashed into her brother's embrace. She hugged him so tight as if it was the last time she would ever see him. "Oh, Lenny, my Lenny," Chelsy cried as she hugged her brother so tight. It was such an emotional sight. Two siblings hugged each other with tears of joy streaming down their cheeks as they had missed each other so much. "My little Chels, I have missed you so much," Lionel called out as he wiped away the tears from Chelsy's cheek with his thumb. Then Melinda cleared her throat as she interrupted the two siblings who looked like they were in their own world. "Isn't this unfair? Didn't you miss us too, Chelsy?" Melinda spoke with a smile on her face. "Oh, Melinda, I have missed you and my little Fiona too." Chelsy spoke as she moved forward and hugged Melinda too. Fiona was almost 2 years old already and could speak. Chelsy carried her and spun her around. "My little nugget, I have missed you so much." Fiona wrapped her little hands around Chelsy's neck and gave her the tightest hug ever. She knew she was her aunt's favorite little princess. Chelsy bombarded Lionel with so many questions, asking him when they had planned this trip and how he knew her address. Just when he was about to answer her questions, there was someone at the door ringing the doorbell. Who could it be again? Chelsy thought. As she walked to the door, Chelsy almost fell from where she was standing. Rachel, with her bubbly energy, pulled her suitcase inside and said, "I have finally joined the party." Chelsy staggered backwards when she saw Rachel. If not for the fact that she was holding the door, she would have fallen on the ground. "Rachel!" Chelsy called out, her voice a blend of joy and disbelief. Was she really seeing her best friend, the one she thought was still in Wolverton? Chelsy's heart raced as a flood of happy memories rushed back, igniting warmth in her chest. There stood her Rachel, like a sunbeam breaking through a cloudy sky, and in that moment it felt as if the universe had conspired to reunite them. Rachel opened her arms and Chelsy rushed in for a tight hug. "My Rachel!" Chelsy called out as she buried her face in Rachel's neck. "I can't believe it's you." Both girls stayed in that hugging position for some time before letting go. With their tear-filled faces, they both smiled as it still looked surreal. "Rach, how come you are here? I was just talking with you a few minutes ago, and you told me you were packing your bags to leave tomorrow. How come you are here now?" Rachel let out a soft laughter. "Oh, my dearest Chelsy, you make it so easy to surprise you. They all sat down and the room was filled with laughter, chatter, and good vibe. Then Chelsy asked the question that had been on her mind all evening. Lenny, how come you all are here at the same time? Lionel smiled at Chelsy and said, well, it was all Rachel's idea. Flashback to 2 weeks prior. Rachel had called Lionel. When Lionel answered the call, Rachel's bubbly voice sounded over the phone. Hey, Lenny. Lionel was happy hearing from Rachel. She had been in constant communication since Chelsy moved to London. Hey, Rach. How are you? Hope all is well. Rachel, who didn't want to waste any more time, went straight to the point. Lenny, do you have any plans for the holidays? Lionel raised his eyebrows. No. Melinda and I have no plans for this holidays. Why ask though? The smile on Rachel's face was as bright as the sun breaking through clouds. She cleared her throat and replied. Great. Well, the thing is, Chelsy has been going through some rough stuff. Please don't ask because I can't tell you. It is girls' stuff. Lionel chuckled and said, continue. He knew Rachel and Chelsy would never spill their secret to him. Rachel continued. So, Lenny, I was thinking that we should surprise her by spending the new year with her. I know this will make her feel much better. Lionel was happy with the idea. That sounds like a plan, Rachel. I will discuss this with Melinda and then get back to you, okay? Rachel nodded and ended the call. Back to the present, Chelsy couldn't believe her ears. So Rachel had planned everything. It was getting late and Chelsy's house couldn't accommodate everyone. Lionel had arranged a guest house not far from Chelsy's apartment. Well, Chels, since tomorrow is New Year's Eve, I have rented a guest house 2 blocks from here. We can have dinner there tomorrow and cross over to the new year together. What do you think? Chelsy smiled and replied. Of course, Lenny. We will be there tomorrow. Rachel, who was still sitting on the couch, said, Lenny, you, Melinda, and our sweet little Fiona can go ahead. I will be staying right here with my best friend. I have missed her so much. Lionel just shook his head as they stepped out of Chelsy's apartment. Chelsy and Rachel were left alone in her apartment. They sat on the couch and had a lot of catching up to do. Rachel was always one to have a bag full of juicy gossip. As they spoke about Wolverton, Rachel seemed to have remembered something. Chels, wait a minute. Do you know what happened to Philippa? When Chelsy heard Philippa's name, she clenched her fist. It had been more than a year she heard that name. Everything that happened to Chelsy in Wolverton slowly came back to her mind. When Rachel saw the change in Chelsy's countenance, she held her hand and said, Chels, you don't have to feel so bad. I guess karma has met Philippa and her family. Chelsy raised her eyebrows and asked, what happened to her? Rachel leaned casually against the couch, a playful smirk creeping onto her lips as she recounted the story. You won't believe this, she began, her voice laced with a mix of disbelief and amusement. So, Philippa's dad? He actually used the school as his personal stage for drugs and all sorts of shady dealings. When the truth finally came out, he faced the music, stripped of his position, and had his properties seized. And now, the once arrogant Philippa Clark? She's working as a cleaner at one of the malls. Talk about poetic justice. It's wild how karma comes full circle, right? Rachel laughed again as she remembered how Philippa and her family were tossed out from Wolverton's elite like a dried piece of dog shit. Chelsy's eyes widened, her mouth dropping slightly in disbelief. Wait, are you serious? She exclaimed, leaning closer to Rachel as if drawing in the shocking details. I can't believe Philippa's dad was involved in all that. I mean, she always acted like she was untouchable. And now she's a cleaner? That's insane. It's like the universe finally decided to even the score. Wow, talk about karma hitting hard. I never thought I'd see the day. She shook her head, still processing the twist of fate. Rachel looked at Chelsy and asked, Chelsy, how is that Mr. Delicious? Chelsy had not told Rachel she was in a relationship with Hank. She had planned on telling her when she got to London. Chelsy wanted to tease Rachel just a little bit before telling her. My dearest Rachel, if you want to know anything about Mr. Delicious, you have to ask nicely. Rachel knew what Chelsy was up to, and she decided to play along. She sat upright and dove straight into character. My dearest Lady Fairfax of Wolverton, will thou please telleth thy best friend thin thoughts? The two girls burst out laughing hysterically like two braying donkeys choking on water. Then Chelsy held Rachel's hand and said softly, Wretch, Hank and I are a couple. Rachel's eyes shot wide open as she jumped from the couch. No freaking way. My oh my. Chels, I hope you are not pulling my legs with this. Chelsy shook her head and said no. She explained everything that happened and what led to them finally being together. Rachel was truly happy for her best friend. She had finally let go of Kenneth Robert and finally opened her heart to love again. The two girls spent all night talking and catching up. The next day, Chelsy was the first to wake up. Since it was the New Year's Eve, she had planned on showing Rachel around London before having dinner later in the evening with Lionel and Melinda. Rachel was still sleeping with her head tugged under the pillow. Chelsy walked up to Rachel and pulled the pillow from her head. Hey, sleepy head. Wakey, wakey. It's 10 am already. Rachel was never a morning person. She mumbled under the sheets. Chels, please give me 15 more minutes, please. If you do, I'll give you my new channel bag. Chelsy laughed at how naughty Rachel was. She cleared her throat and replied, Well, my dearest Rachel, you still have to wake up. She pulled the blanket off of Rachel's body. Cold brought Rachel back to reality. She sat on the bed with a frown on her face. With a hoarse voice that sounded like that of an old frail frog, she said angrily as she threw a pillow at Chelsy. Chelsy Powers. How did I end up best friends with a killjoy like you? Chelsy laughed and replied, Love you too, bestie, as she walked out of the room. After having had their breakfast, Rachel and Chelsy wrapped themselves in cozy scarves as they stepped out of the house to explore London. They had an absolute blast exploring London during the Christmas season. They kicked off their adventure at Winter Wonderland in Hyde Park, where they zipped down slides and sipped mulled wine while munching on roasted chestnuts. Next, they strolled along the dazzling lights of Oxford Street, popping into shops for thoughtful gifts. One of the highlights was visiting the iconic London Eye, where they took a ride high above the city. Gazing down at the twinkling streets below, they couldn't help but feel the magic of the festive season. Rachel's eyes had twinkling stars in them as she spoke. Oh, Chels, this is what they call happiness. I now understand what that person said, that if you ever visited London, that means you have seen the world in one city. Chelsy could not help but laugh at how in awe Rachel was. Through all that exploring, they found a cozy cafe to warm up. Nestled by the window, they shared laughter over steaming cups of rich hot chocolate, topped with fluffy marshmallows. As they chatted about their favorite moments, they watched the festive crowds pass by, feeling the city's vibrant energy. Rachel, who was in great spirits, suddenly said, Chels, this is the best tour of London I've ever had. You sure will make a very good tour guide. Chelsy scoffed and replied, Well, since I am that great, next time it will be £50 an hour. But since you are my best friend, I will give you a 10% discount. Rachel smirked. In your dreams. Meanwhile, Hank had tried so many times to get to Chelsy, but she wasn't answering her calls. He got so worried and dialed Daniel's number. Daniel and Laura were at Grandma Julia's house when his phone rang. Talk of the devil, he muttered as he answered the call. Hey H. What's up? Hank was not in for pleasantries. His voice was laced with concern as he spoke. Dee, please, I need your help. I have tried calling Chelsy so many times, but she hasn't responded to any of my calls. The jovial smile that was on Daniel's face suddenly disappeared as his countenance turned to a serious one. Hank, don't worry. She must have left her phone at home while running errands. I'll go check on her. Hank let out a heavy sigh. Thanks, Dee. Please keep me updated. He spoke as he ended the call. Daniel dialed Chelsy's number twice and there was no response. He turned to Grandma Julia and said, Nana Julia, I'll be heading to Chelsy's apartment. Then he turned to Laura. My love. Please stay with Nana. I will be back shortly, okay? He gave Laura a kiss and dashed out of the house. Meanwhile, Chelsy and Rachel were happily chatting as they approached her apartment. When she saw Daniel leaning on his car, she was surprised. She walked up to him with a smile. Hi, Daniel. What a surprise. Daniel returned the smile as he replied to her greeting. What brings you here at this time? It's almost 5 p.m. Before Daniel could respond, Rachel cut in. Chels. And who is this delicious pie we have here? Daniel blushed after hearing what Rachel said. Chelsy chuckled. Oh, my bad. Wretch. Please meet Mr. Daniel Maximilian. He is my boss and Hank's cousin. She turned to Daniel and said, Daniel, please meet Rachel Hannigan. She is my best friend from Wolverton. Daniel extended his hand and shook Rachel's. Hello, Miss Hannigan. It is great meeting you. Rachel returned the smile. The pleasure is all mine, Mr. Maximilian. You can call me Rachel. Since you are friends with my dearest Chelsy, I guess that automatically makes you and I friends. Daniel nodded. One more friend added to the crew, Daniel said with a wink. Then he remembered why he had gone there in the first place. Oh, Chelsy. Please, where did you keep your phone? Hank has tried so many times to get to you. Chelsy raised her eyebrows as she remembered that she had put her phone on silence. When she took it out, the battery was dead. Oh my goodness. Hank. Chelsy screamed as she rushed inside her apartment to charge her phone. Rachel turned to Daniel and said with a softer voice, Daniel, I know you and your cousin are very influential people. Please. Chelsy is a very nice person and has a very kind heart. She has been terribly hurt in the past. If your cousin is out to play with her heart, please let him quit now while she can still heal. Daniel was touched at how intentional Rachel was towards Chelsy. Rachel, Daniel called out. You are a very great friend. Chelsy is blessed to have you. I can promise you that Henry is very serious and intentional about Chelsy. He has had his own fair share of heartbreak. I can confidently say that Chelsy is the only girl in his heart. To put your mind at ease, I will personally protect and watch out for her. Rachel was happy knowing that someone else was watching out for her. Thank you, Daniel. I really mean it, Rachel responded. Meanwhile, Chelsy had charged her phone. She dialed Hank's number and he answered almost immediately. The smile on Chelsy's face faded when she heard Hank's stern voice. Chelsy, where the hell did you keep your phone? Do you know how worried I was? Chelsy bit her lower lip as she felt remorseful. I am so sorry. My phone's battery died and I forgot to charge it. When Hank saw the sad look on Chelsy's face, his expression and voice softened. Darling, I am so sorry for raising my voice. I was so worried that something bad had happened to you. As he spoke, Chelsy's head was still down and she said nothing. Cursed himself inwardly. Damn it, Hank. You just had to act like a jerk. He let out a heavy sigh and spoke softly. Hey, beautiful. Please look at me. Chelsy raised her head and looked into the phone. Hank let out a soft smile. Do you know how much I have missed you? It is New Year already in Sydney and I wanted you to be the first person I spoke to. Please don't be mad. I am so sorry. Chelsy smiled back. Happy New Year, my love. Chelsy said softly. Hank asked her what she had been up to all day. She went ahead to explain everything. How her brother and best friend had surprised her. Wow. I am so jealous of your brother and best friend. They get to have all of you on New Year's. Anyways, go prepare for your family dinner. We will talk tomorrow, okay? I love you. Chelsy smiled as she said she loved him back. The new year was over, and it was the day before Rachel returned to Wolverton. Chelsy decided to take her to one of the clubs in London for one more girls' outing before she left for Wolverton. As they sat down sipping on their mojitos, two men with drinks in their hands walked up to them. Hey girls. What a splendid night. Would you mind coming to our table for more drinks? Asked one of the men. Chelsy turned to the man and declined him politely. Thank you for the offer. But we are good. She turned back to Rachel. The man insisted. You can't reject me. I promise to make it worth your while. You will enjoy every moment of it, the man said as he lecherously flickered his tongue. Chelsy wasn't having it. Sir, if you don't leave now, I will report you for harassment. The man let out a sinister laugh as he continued to speak. This is a fiery one, huh? I love my women fierce. Rachel, who had been sitting quiet, turned to the man. Look here, Pumba. If I were you, I would leave immediately, else you wouldn't know how you died. The man, who really looked like a warthog, didn't heed to Rachel's advice as he laughed forward and tried grabbing Chelsy by the hand. Chelsy swiftly stood up and gave the man a resounding slap. Before he could realize what was happening, Chelsy gave him a back kick on his groin area, which sent him flying. The man fell with a heavy thud as he could hear clanging and banging in his head. Chelsy picked up her purse and said, Wretch, let's leave this godforsaken place. Rachel could not help but laugh. She walked up to the man, who was grabbing his now sore balls and shivering like a rain-soaked chicken. She crouched down and said, Dear Pumba, I did warn you, didn't I? Not every girl who looks beautiful is weak. I hope your equipment has not been left incapacitated. She let out a mocking laughter as she strode out of the clubhouse. The upper section of the club, a man dressed in a white long-sleeve shirt, folded to the elbow, was surrounded by a group of men dressed in black. He smiled as he sipped on his vodka and watched Chelsy leave the club. There was a mischievous smile tugged at the corner of his mouth. I think I have found my woman, he said to his companions who were on the table with him. Who is this mysterious man? What is his mission? To know what happens next on the story, stay tuned, as another exciting episode of your favorite series, Unappreciated Treasure, will be coming soon. Stay blessed and toodles.